sure you can't see it?
Honestly, my dear, you wouldn't know it was there.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. And in this episode, we're going to take a look at the ramifications for equality. There is now a call for women-only jobs to be advertised as women-only jobs due to the nature of the job. And this comes as a result of a R-word crisis centre having a new head appointed, and the new head being a man. The last thing a woman who has suffered the R word wants to see when she goes to a crisis centre is a man. So we'll take a look at this article and discuss. Seems mad, doesn't it? Why is this even a thing? Anyway, we'll get down to it. So here's the article. As you see, it's Breitbart. Equality Watchdog to back women-only jobs after R word crisis centre gets trans head. I mean, who made this decision? Someone has to make these decisions. That someone needs firing as well. A human rights watchdog is set to confirm that employers can limit some jobs to women only after a crisis centre in the UK appointed a transgender head. A man, basically. They've appointed a man in... It's weird. It's just weird. In a bizarre instance of equality politicking, try saying that when you're drunk, a UK Human Rights Authority looks set to confirm that employers can keep positions women only after controversy emerged over a so-called trans woman being given a position of responsibility in a crisis centre. And they're saying so-called, and you'll find out why it's a so-called, and then in quotes, trans woman. Because it's not anything of the sort. What they need to put in there, in every way, is the word man. Britain's Equalities and Human Rights Commission, the EHRC, has already recently found itself in the centre of an inter-feminist conflict over issues to do with transgenderism, after recently advising that single-sex spaces, such as toilets and changing rooms, etc., could be legally enforced in Britain. Now, interfeminist is one of those made-up words that they use because they can't use real words because it goes against their agenda. Oh, it's interfeminist, and it's attack words. They're using these words as weapons because they're desperately showing that they're the put-upon minority. They're not a put-upon minority. There are psychiatric cases that need to be cured, not endured. You don't want to be enabling. You don't enable someone who has a problem. You cure them of it. And that's the problem that these people have. They have mental issues. Anyway. Now, according to a report by The Times, the watchdog looks set to confirm the positions of transgenderism sceptical feminists that some employment opportunities can and should be limited to women only. This advice has reportedly been prompted after the appointment of former leftist politician Riddle Wadwa, and I hope I pronounced that right, who is reportedly described as transgender, to the head of a woman's crisis centre. Again, the transgender is a misnomer. While The Times describes as a so-called trans woman, the ex-member of the leftist Scottish National Party reportedly does not possess a gender recognition certificate denoting that they're not a man. In other words, this is a man who is biologically a man and legally a man. And so now you have a crisis centre who has appointed a man as its head. You couldn't make it up. The publication also notes that feminist campaigners have complained that there is an issue of crisis centres across the UK hiring transgender people without such certificates denoting a legal gender change. Well, you may be able to change your gender, but of course you can never, ever change your sex. If you're born male, you die male. You have XY chromosomes, you have male biochemical reactions, you have a prostate. And one day, a doctor is going to stick his finger up there and give it a tickle. Because you're a man. The legitimate aim is to provide a male-free organisation to victims of male attacks, to facilitate psychological healing from trauma, said Dr. Nicola Williams of the campaign group Fair Play for Women, who wrote to the EHRC to get the rules clarified. Experts in trauma-informed care would argue that this particular legitimate aim cannot be delivered by someone born male who has simply changed their legal sex status to female. She said this, but actually she's wrong, because you don't change your sex status. You only change your gender. You are still man. This request for legal clarification from the Human Rights Watchdog is only the most recent development in what is now a months-long political conflict over the place of transgenderism adherents in crisis centres, with so-called trans women at the centre of controversy, previously pledging to challenge the bigotry of attacked women, should they hold views counter to that of the former leftist politicians' orthodoxy. In other words, what this group is trying to do is to say to these women who have been attacked, you are bigots because you dislike men, and therefore, because I'm a man in a skirt, you hate me, and that's bigotry. Are these people for real? This is why it's dangerous. This is why these people are so dangerous. SV happens, and you know by that I mean, again, this is the YouTube, certain words have connotations, won't be pushed, so please stick with me on this one. SV happens to bigoted people as well, the Time reports as activists saying, but these spaces are also for you. But if you bring in unacceptable beliefs that are discriminatory in nature, we will begin to work with you on your journey of recovery from trauma, the Our Crisis Centre head continued. But please be expected to be challenged on your prejudices. In other words, what they're saying is they've appointed a man as the head of a crisis centre. Women don't want that. Women don't like that. Women are traumatised by that. And he's calling them bigots. He's victimising the victims further. He's attacking the victims because he doesn't like the fact that he's a man. That's what it's down to. He hates being a man, and so he's attacking the women who look at him and see a man. He needs to be fired and he needs to be prosecuted because undoubtedly he's caused trauma to women. And then he needs to be disbarred from any job at public expense ever. It's sickening. Anyway, I shall come up and round this video off. I think we are truly through the looking glass. This is the sort of thing that would have been a satire 10 years ago. It would have been a comedy. It would have been unbelievable. Unfortunately now it's all too believable. It's all too common. And nobody is saying enough. Stop. No more. The line in the sand has to be drawn. We have to recognise that transgenderism has to be totally taken as a mental issue. It's not a sexual issue. We still have to refer to these people as men because they are men. Why these people want to continually push themselves into areas where women don't want them is beyond me. Can they not see that a crisis centre is certainly no place for anyone who at any point in their life has owned a sack? If you've had it cut off, I don't care. You're still male body formed. You're still male body chemistry. You might put yourself in a skirt and call yourself Rosemary, but that does not a woman make. And when a woman who's been victimised, traumatised, severely beaten usually, attacked in such a way, she will have a natural predisposition to being anti-male, certainly for a long time. I'm not saying necessarily forever. Trust can be reborn. But there's going to be that issue. And the last thing a woman who's vulnerable and is going to one of these crisis centres to seek help, companionship, understanding, to talk through the trauma, to open up, because sometimes talking about something is a cathartic experience, and it can help. And they can do that in a room where there's other women who've been through similar processes. The last thing they want is a man in the corner going, "Come on in, love, tell us all about it." That woman will feel like she's being hard all over again, and it is wrong. But I'm going to draw that to a close now. You all know my feelings on this subject generally. I've done many a video on it. I'm very, very firmly on the side of the women on this one. If you like what you hear and see on the channel, please consider subscribing if you haven't already. Ring the bell for notification of future output. Leave a like, leave a comment. And until next time, dear friends, stay safe, stay well, and goodbye.